Welcome to Culture Unplugged, a refuge for families and friends of those who have unfortunately lost their life due to hazing and survivors that have also survived through the hellish experiences and brutal acts of hazing. I am a survivor of hazing myself. I am Uncle Chris, and we talk about it all through that medium on this platform to raise awareness. So if you're here as a new member, we welcome you, welcome home. And then, of course, if you are a returning member, thank you for your commitment to stick with us as we continuously look to expand in different ways to create the aesthetics, to increase the aesthetics, however that may be, just to be able to make this a safe space. So just some updates here. The following video you're going to see essentially is me talking really honestly about really where hazing stands right now, my concerns, talking on TikTok live this past Thursday. I just basically keep it blunt. So I'd like you to tell me what you think. Leave some comments as well. Let's raise the awareness, raise the engagement about this, because I do have my concerns, and I do want to also reaffirm some consistent backlash that I've received is, just basically being able to keep it 100 in my perspective on things. And so there's a few things that are coming up. There is a notable interview that I have with someone that I need to make sure we get confirmed. So I had to push back with Byron Hurt. Not certain yet. Once we get that fully locked in, then I'll also update you as well. But I had to push that back out a week. Next week, Thursday, I believe that's April 3rd. I have a phone call with a mother, unfortunately, whose daughter passed away due to suicide. So that is going to be a bit tough for most. So just be ready. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week, Thursday, April 3rd. I believe it's April 3rd. So let's stick around for that. And then also, I have a news to share that Patreon is now available. You'll see a video on there as well. So go ahead and basically touch down into Patreon. Look at the link is in my bio and subscribe. I'm giving 10% away of all revenue made on Patreon to a local charity, which is going to be stophazing.org. So I'm going to be donating 10% of that revenue to that organization. So just to be in support of victims of hazing and families who have lost loved ones due to the act. So definitely get involved. We're going to have exclusive content there. And so we'll have notable interviews, deeper conversations, more of like a one-on-one with me. And that's really called, it's personal, what keeps me up at night, and why I speak out. So you'll want to be on that Patreon for that exclusive member access there, to be able to hear me break down what I feel in regards to the hazing space. So more good, great content to come every week. I'm literally working and toiling at this to get this right and to get this to be a space where we can not only raise our voices, but continue to spread awareness. So definitely want to say, again, thank you for your support and helping to get Culture Unplugged where it's at. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to let this video coming up speak for itself. Again, leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Let's end hazing together. Let's get it unplugged. Take a seat, get yourself comfortable. We got some things we need to address. Welcome in. So let's basically kick off and start here. I have recap a little bit of this month. We're coming to the end of March, and there's been so much development. So many things have moved very, very fast. Obviously, a lot of you have seen my videos go right towards anti-hazing, and we started this activism with passion, with grace, with love and light. And Jesus has really opened the doors. So let me explain to you, for those who don't know, my name is Chris, or Uncle Chris. My focus is anti-hazing activism, wherever that may be. So not just Divine Nine, not just focusing on white fraternities or black fraternities. This is a systemic problem. It's not a black or white problem. I started this because I'm also a victim or survivor, I should say. I'm no longer a victim, but I'm a survivor of hazing. I could have lost my life. I was suicidal, the whole nine. And I tell these stories of victims who unfortunately passed away due to hazing because they need their voices, their story told. And for those survivors who I'm also imploring, for those of you who know a survivor of hazing, someone knows someone. Believe it or not, there's actually 2 in 5, according to StopHazing.org, 2 in 5 students will have had some type of initiation experience that will require some type of level of hazing. And so that is in itself is a problem. That's a concern for me as a someone who looks at these cases very closely now, as in I'm God called. I feel like I am someone that has to unite people together for us to end the problem. It's an epidemic now in terms of hazing, and there's a lot of things that I kind of want to go into regarding that, but essentially I can't do it alone. I need people like you who are also just as passionate as me. There are a lot of other people, organizations that are working behind the scenes to really accelerate and demand for change. There's been new legislation that has actually came to pass under the Biden administration just in December. So if you don't know, that legislation is basically demanding for real change for schools and universities to be fully accountable through their anti-hazing policies. They have to have some type of level of training. They have to have data behind the training. They have to have different type of requirements. And so once I was aware of that, I wanted to share that with you because now is the time where, because it's so new, these universities and colleges are figuring out ways to essentially amplify that message that hazing is illegal, it is wrong, and it is not acceptable. And so what it's going to end up taking place is that they're going to reach out to people like yourself who want to share your voice, parents especially. This is who I'm really talking about, making sure that you have full understanding of what your child is getting into in terms of organization that they choose. I'm not saying that hazing happens everywhere. Let's be realistic. It's not everywhere. It's not a situation that is just sporadic. It's just something that happens in populations of different areas of the country. And so the way we combat that is to spread awareness. So like using Culture Unplugged to do that. We tell these stories as aware. I know a lot of you says it's like a lot of doom and gloom. You only talk about black fraternities. You know, I get a lot of different backlash, but the backlash doesn't bother me. That means that we're doing something right. And that means that we do this with love. We do this with a call to action. It's not something that really has been a big focal point. I'd say not until the Caleb Wilson story, like a lot of you may already know about, obviously. So those things, I think, especially for me, when I saw his story specifically, even though it's been 15 years since my personal experience, these are some things that I still even battle with to this day. Beyond the physical scar, I still have to carry about this. I still have to think about this and wake up and think about, is someone, behind my shoulder? There's a lot of, for a long time I've had, bad dreams and mental health issues. But anyway, besides that point, I looked at Caleb Wilson as like a brother to me, like if he was a part of my family. And I think that's why a lot of you also feel so deeply about our efforts as a movement to really focus on anti-hazing. So where do we go from here? We've talked about that. We've talked about needing fully transparency when we're talking about young people going to college campuses, when they're doing their college tours, that schools make sure that they are answering the questions that parents want to know. Is my kid going to be safe? Is my child going to be safe? Are they going to go get a great education, go into an organization that they love, no matter what it is, black, white, doesn't matter, and come out alive? Are they going to make it to graduation? Culture Unplugged, our mission is to focus on getting those kids to cross the burning sands of education, okay? Not the burning sands of death and despair, and another parent that has to wake up to a phone call that their kid is not going to be alive. That's not something that we want. I don't think anyone wants to advocate for that. We don't think that hazing happens everywhere. Again, this is not anti-Greek. This is anti-hazing. This is not focusing on the wrongs or punching into D9. We're focusing on hazing in real time. And I need you to understand that part of what I feel is my life's work. As of right now, the clock started ticking on my first video when I talked about anti-hazing, that time is now. God is saying, I need you to act now. God is saying, I'm deploying you to duty. And so when you're deployed for duty, when you're called, God called, if you're a Christian, if you're not, I understand, no disrespect. But when you're God called for a mission, you act. You don't sit back and wait. You make something happen. You address the needs of the people, because this is where it's supposed to be. So I'm lending my free time, my own money, free money, basically, well, I'm free because I'm working for it. But I'm lending my resources towards this cause. And every video you'll see is going to address stories of victims who have passed away due to hazing. I didn't realize that we had over 105 related hazing deaths since the year 2000. That's one too many. If I just saved just one, then I've done my job. Then that means I've done the necessary work to at least save a life. What are you going to do to be a part of this movement? Are you going to help me get into this movement, and with seriousness, with focus, with accuracy, with love, compassion, and grace? Full respect, by the way, to all the organizations. I don't have any hate in my heart. I don't have any hate in my heart towards the organizations. I don't even have the capacity as a human being, as a young black man in America and where I live, to have hate to anyone. But what I do have is full transparency here. My full mission is to end hazing as we know it. The practices, the deadly, brutal cases like Sam Martinez, Bradley Doyley, Kanitha Safir. I could name many of them. People who had promising futures, parents that had promising futures to expect them to graduate, cannot at all get that experience because that experience was robbed and stolen from them. And the cover-ups and the secrets and the focus on keeping this something under wraps has caused so many lives, both alive and unfortunately passed away, dead, for years. So what are we going to do about that? We've got to make this change happen. So in a moment, probably about, I think a little after 8 o'clock, you'll see the video of Robert Champion and how his story is so crucial that really, for me, at the time, he was someone that passed away due to hazing after me. My situation happened in 2009. His situation, his unfortunate case happened in 2011. He crossed bus C, but he didn't get off that bus alive. He died. So I need you to understand what we're doing is very serious work. It is mentally straining, but I know the mission is very important for me to be a part of this movement. So what I'm asking for is, if you are a survivor of hazing, I need you to hit my DM so we can be able to tell your story. The more stories, the more voices, the more this will end. This is something that we have to break into. I talked to someone that really alarmed me, but I gotta, in order to kind of understand where this comes from and how this is so warped into sometimes, a lot of times, culture and tradition, history, lineage. A lot of families have some level of organizations wrapped into their family history. Families who had, Someone who's been in a fraternity or sorority for years, since the 50s, since the 30s. I mean, yeah, since the 1930s. Goes way back. And when they started, these organizations, by the way, weren't built on hazing at all. They weren't built on the physical aspects of beating someone down to build them back up. They were founded on culture for service through leadership, because they also saw that their promise, I'm talking about D9 here, the promise of being a source for us, our people, both men and women, black men and black women, to have their stories be amplified and have their place in society, because the white fraternities and white sororities weren't allowing them. So do you understand that we've come from a place of being proud as a community, as a people, and we've transformed it over the years. Some of us, we've transformed it into something that has become deadly. Injury, problems, family being broken apart, families like the family of Robert Champion that can no longer, his mom, by the way, can no longer do her hair in the bathroom where she's always done it for years, every Saturday night, because the phone call that she received was basically news that her son had died in Orlando with FAMU. So I want to make sure that these type of steps that we're taking is calculated, is strategic, is to the point, that we take care of our young people, we take care of our organizations to see that they get the full training and transparency where it's needed, because what we're asking for really isn't a lot. We want to make sure that these kids have a full understanding, young people who are going to college, that they have full understanding what they're getting themselves into as far as a process that is going to be non-abusive, both physically, emotionally. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be a process. I'm just saying that there should be a call to action to reform the process. Does that make sense? Shouldn't schools have a greater level of responsibility to protect as well? So we're asking them too, to have full oversight in partnership with a third party, by the way, to make sure that these organizations are held accountable, that they have their records straight. Everyone has their full record straight about who is in the process, how long they're in the process, what does the process look like. We're talking about changing the identity, and I get why the backlash happens, even more so from those who have experienced it, who feel proud of it, because it's a part of their identity. Anything that comes through a change is going to be painful. It's not going to be easy. We're talking about trying to erase decades of an ideology, an idea that was once appreciated for many. So the one way we do that is that we spread the message to you, the young people that are concerned, who have thought about joining an organization. And by the way, no disrespect if you want to join an organization. I just want you to make sure that you are going through it safely, that you come out on the other end of those burning sands that they say. Because for me, and what I experienced, I got lucky. I got blessed. Blessed because someday I would be sitting here right in front of you right now as a humble servant of God to ask and deploy that you would also help me in our fight together to help save lives. And so for that gives me all the reason and the push in the world to do what I do, because I love doing it. It's not something that I'm doing for money. I don't give a damn about money. I'm taken care of. I'm good to go. God is taking care of me. God said, I've taken care of all your needs. I don't need to ask you for anything. All I need to ask you for, non-monetary, is your help in this fight. This isn't a one-man show. This is a call to action. I need God's people to step up. If you're in an organization, this is even more ever the reason for you to be a part of this cause. This is ever more of the reason for you to be a part of this cause. Thank you for the many messages that I've received from those who are also saying enough is enough. We demand change. We demand to have our kids see a future that is bright and not one that is stolen. Where it happens, excuse me, where it happens in football organizations, where it happens on marching bands, dance teams, step teams. Just the other day, we had a live call with a victim of hazing from Howard University trying to pledge Omega Psi Phi. And he told me on that live that there was hazing in the church. Do you see that there's a problem? We have hazing in the church on a college campus, where a place where you're supposed to seek refuge spiritually, bring my whole self. God say, I need you to bring your whole self to me in fellowship. And hazing is happening in the church. This, you got to think about it. There's a bigger problem here with this. Even more now, we've got to fight it and cut it out like the cancer that it is. This isn't a game. I'm putting my own life on the line here. My own well-being on the line here. I'm out there in the gym working out, because to have a mind that is derailed due to being unhealthy while I'm trying to fight this fight doesn't work. Do you understand? This is bigger than me. So we've got to do the work. Hazing has no place on any campus, on any organization, on any group. No place. So we fight this fight together with the full intention that we will make and demand change in this country. So I have a phone call with a mother who has lost her daughter to hazing by acts of suicide next week, Thursday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will tell you that her story and the daughter that has left her due to this act is very hard to watch. In fact, I'll let you know ahead of time that it's going to be very sensitive for most. And I'm going to ask, even as I'm talking about suicide, that if you and someone you know who have fighting or battling suicide, that you call the number and dial 988. That is the National Crisis Hotline for Suicide. We don't speak suicide into existence. We just have to be able to tell these stories, how difficult that it can be, until people get the hint and the understanding. Parents, to make it very clear to you, we don't have much time. This is something we've got to make sure changes in this country. Her phone call, which will be next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, will be probably the most difficult call that I'll have to take, to be able to ask some tough questions, ask questions about not only her well-being as a parent to a child that she watched pledge a sorority that she loved or thought she loved, and then get mistreated so badly that it broke her daughter into mental anguish that took her life. These are real stories, and her story is just very much like another one by the name of Jordan Hankins, who committed the same act of suicide after joining Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated. Again, I hold no punches because I give the stories as they play out. No defamation intended. All my opinion is my opinion alone. But at the same time, these are real stories, real witnesses, real people who have been affected, and there are more. Others who are just not comfortable coming out. And that's okay. Because whatever the time is that you decide in your life that God is going to move you and use you to tell your story, then let God use you. I'll be here waiting to listen, to help share it, to help amplify it, to make sure I'm giving more power back to you. Because you're not a victim, you're a survivor. You could have been a Caleb Wilson. It's like me, I could have been a Caleb Wilson. I could have been a Robert Champion. So could you. So what choices are you going to make? Sit back, focus, And let me just say this, I understand even more so that there are those who have to go back to these communities where they need to feel accepted. HBCU homecomings are a great fun time. I've been to them. Norfolk State, Hampton University, I've gone. So I understand, what it must feel like, or would feel like if everyone just looked at you weird or different. But does being different mean that your focus of being in a good cause, it should be ignored, that it should be turned away? If these organizations are focused on anti-hazing, if these schools are focused on anti-hazing, then they should be loving everything that you're standing for. Then you should be there to feel proud. Homecomings come and go. But these lives, these stories, these families that are tragically and unfortunately damaged, tragically damaged, they have to live with that memory every day. The mother of Kenitha Safir, the two young ladies that died, Breonna Gather, Victoria Carter, Sam Martinez, Ryan Abele, Bradley Doyley. Am I making sense? Their families could never go and feel proud to see the organization in the same light again, or see their school where they went to in the same light again. How can you tell them to grow in this community and go on to live and without them feeling some level of robbery? So we use this channel, Culture Unplugged, to amplify their hurt, to amplify their pain, so that you as parents, or those who are maybe new parents, can get a level of understanding and transparency that needs to happen. That when we ask for those that are facing some level of hazing already right now watching this video, or those who have had interests in organizations that they desire and choose to want to be a part of, that they're protected. I care about young people. I care about lives, and I care about saving them. So do your part. Help me help Culture Unplugged make the case. We'll go as far as we can. There's a lot of new developments happening. I'm working with different partnerships and different organizations behind the scenes, making sure that we have lives at least every week. This week, I was hoping, I'm not sure yet, but we're planning to have a live with Byron Hurt, who is the filmmaker behind the documentary Hazjng, which aired on PBS 2 years ago. Well, no, 2022 was when it came out. Yeah, 2022 is when it came out. We're working with people, organizations. We're working with people. This isn't just me. I keep telling y'all. I think by now, many of you know that I'm not playing around. That this isn't just something like I'm just doing for a trend or because someone else is doing it. This is something where it's a survivor doing the work because it is my God-given right and my God-given duty. We have, just letting you know, if you haven't already, I'm going to be posting the Robert Champion story. His story will be uploaded just after 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. I'll be posting that on my YouTube channel at Cultured Unplugged. The Patreon, which is going to focus on the behind the scenes, exclusive interviews, talking points, live discussions. We're going to be asking you to join the Patreon. You can see the link in the bio on the YouTube channel. I think it's also on my TikTok as well. But I address very serious matters of real life stories of hazing in that space as well. So I ask that you get the early access, which starts today. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you enjoy these stories where I talk about victims who have unfortunately passed away due to hazing. Join the also other stories where survivors or their parents are going to join lives. If you are someone that would like to join me on the channel, on the show, I ask that you do so. You can reach my email at coveredandcultured@gmail.com. That's coveredandcultured@gmail.com. Take your time, say whatever you feel like you need to say. Even if it's somebody you just want to let me know how you felt about what I'm doing. I don't care. You can also do that too. But we need more voices. We need allies, and we need survivors. So join the Patreon. That's there. And I know I talk a lot. So I'm just scanning to see if anybody said anything, asked a question. Doesn't look like we had much questions this time. I was hazed more in the military than I was ever in any of the organizations I belong to. I'm sorry for you, brother, but you know what? I will say that our young people are not going out into the world to be in the military. So I understand that there's levels of hazing even in our military, but does it mean that the acts of hazing constitutes a person to die? Our young people are also, who are trying to join these organizations, by the way, are not fighting or trying to go into combat or any type of conditioning or training to be in combat for military reasons. So why should they also, why should they go through some level of hazing at all that would deploy or rob them of their life? I'll let you figure that out. This is a member of Omega Psi Phi, by the way, who asked that question. And I only share that question because, or that statement, I should say, I share that because we have a big problem. Misconceptions, ridicule, deceit. Again, we're challenging identity, so I get it. I understand why you do what you do. Thank you. I have a La Condicional, Inconditional said, sending love, proud of you, spreading your truth. It's important. Thank you so much. You're right. This is something that needs to be done because I care. I want it to end. I want young people to feel safe when they're joining organizations, football teams, marching bands, wherever they may feel comfortable that they want to join. They need to have a right for that. And again, this is not anti-D9. I've gotten that single-handedly was the comment that came up numerous times. Why do you only focus on Divine Nine? Well, you see plenty white organizations that I talk about now. But you know what's funny, though? Let's have a conversation real quick, because this part really bothered me. This part was so contradictory, because for every white, fraternity organization that I talked about, sorority, I had little to zero of the same energy that I received when I discussed the black organizations. So maybe y'all can help me out. What's up with that? Why is that? Why is it that every white organization that I did talk about and posted, I just wanted to see. I was already in my plan was to include wherever hazing, I told y'all, wherever hazing existed, I was gonna talk about. But why is it that I did not get the same energy when talking about white organizations? Does that mean we really only care when I'm trying to hold each other, I'm trying to hold y'all accountable, when I'm trying to hold each other accountable? We have a problem with that? You asked me to post it, I posted it, but I'm not getting the same energy. And you know what's even more interesting? Is that those white organizations didn't come onto each episode that their story was told and then ridicule me, belittle me, bash me for all I'm asking for is anti-hazing. No one, at least not yet, did not take the time to say, why don't you focus on the violence that happened in your communities? No one said that. Why don't you focus on the violence that happened in Chicago, the shootings? Why do you focus on fraternities and sororities, black fraternities, sororities? Do you see that's a problem? Literally, I'm not saying it's all of y'all. I'm just saying it's some people with this mindset. that literally chastise me. But these white organizations that I've clearly posted on both my YouTube and my TikTok, I put their organizations all up there. I even put the school up there. Nobody from the school. PWI. Nobody from the school, nobody from the organizations have said anything detrimental to what I'm trying to do. But some of us in our community, the friends and the family of those that I would shake hands with, rub elders with, give my daps, and hug, embrace, eat with, sleep in the same house together, have chastised me and bashed me for coming out to say that hazing is wrong. For telling the stories of real stories, by the way, that have been documented, or survivors who or want to wish, and by the way, you can be anonymous if you want to share your story with me about your hazing experience. But those victims, like none of them have come out like the way how our own people, my people, have treated me since this. And I'm not saying it's not all of y'all, but I gotta keep it real, 100%. And I gotta say when wrong is wrong, wrong is wrong. And when right is right, it's right. I don't hold no punches. I'm not doing the, I'm black, we black, so I can never tell y'all that y'all do wrong. When y'all do wrong, just like them. I saw the video about Cam Jones, and I actually have reached out to his email. I didn't see the video in its total entirety, but already I saw like the first 3 minutes of it, and I love it, and I can't wait to watch it tonight because I will. But I have asked him by email to be a part of what we're trying to do. Am I a Q? No, I'm not affiliated with any Divine Nine organization. I'm just going to say this again. I am not affiliated with any Divine Nine or any organization, by the way. It's just me, Uncle Chris, somebody that could be in your family. That's it. Somebody who cares, somebody who gives a damn about saving lives. But yeah, Cam James, I'm looking to watch his story, his video in its full entirety, because I think it needs to be watched. If you haven't watched it, by the way, what I'm talking about, Cam James was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated. He came out and dropped a day ago on YouTube his story on his hazing experience. And he basically did that knowing that he would be and will be ostracized from the community that he loves. When he goes back to the campus, homecoming, his line brothers, all that's gone because of a decision, a choice to go against the grain. When we go against the grain, yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. But we have to focus on the real purpose of what we're trying to do. I'm not anti-Greek. I'm not anti-organization. I'm not anti-HBCU. I'm anti-hazing. That's a simple ask, is to drive against an act that has taken lives. But anyway, I'll go on and on, but watch his video, Cam James. You should look it up, take a look at it. You'll also want to stick around and see the video that I'm going to drop on my YouTube channel regarding Robert Champion, who unfortunately was killed. His family has asked me, or asked in general, that we label his story really not a hazing story per se, but as a murder, because he truly was murdered on that bus back in 2011. Lord rest his soul. But I feel for his mother, his parents. I feel for the parents as well of Adam Oakes out of Richmond, Virginia at VCU, who lost his life back in 2021 due to overconsumption of alcohol. Yeah, so we've got to come to an understanding. Also, some misconceptions, and I posted this as well. But some people are coerced. Once they fall deeply into a process or, they have a desire to be a part of an organization. These are people who are 19, 20, 21, young. You know what you were like at 19, 20, 21. There are a lot of times where, even at my age, at 21, when I was going through it, I deeply wanted to be a part of it because my thought of being a part of this hierarchy on the campus meant access to opportunities. I know what it's like to be on an HBCU campus. I know what it feels like to see people who embody a sense of culture and service and brotherhood or sisterhood, finer womanhood, be a part of an organization that meant that they would have a certain level of hierarchy on a campus where people would see them. If you remember the scene in Burning Sands when Square was talking about how they didn't know his name was Ernest. They knew, he said that, once I cross these sands to be a Lambda, I'm not going to be a Square anymore. I'm going to be Ernest. People are going to call me Ernest. I've seen young brothers like Ernest go from a Square to this dude that they were never before. Like they were jumped into a chamber like they were Urkel one day, and next thing you know, they Stefan because they got the colors on. Do you understand how the perceptions, how the personalities change, and then become, one day they're a person, and next day that's all who they are? Their organization is their identity now. That who they were, it just wiped them apart. Their personalities change. Like we've got to come to an understanding that there's a deeply rooted problem, not only in our community, but PWIs, wherever hazing exists. It's an epidemic of greater proportions. And for me, I will fight with every fiber of my being, parents, to ensure that those kids come home safe, do their full 4 years, go out and to be great citizens of the country, and do what they have to do. And I just want to say also special shout out to Rain. Love and light to you. Love and light for what you, not only what you had to go through, but for you to really look out for yourself and your well-being. So I commend you, because no one deserves to be treated in such a way that's savagery. Picking up a boxing glove, I'm still shaken by that. A boxing glove to someone that could be your brother, your cousin, your nephew, and shatter your chest to where you collapse, come into a seizure, and then be treated like trash, covered up, clothes changed, dropped off to the hospital like they don't even know you. Say he was playing basketball and then he dies at 3:15 in the morning. We've got a problem. We've got a problem. So I also say this too. Somebody mentioned this. There's a difference between pledging and hazing. You know what? Sure is. I put a video out of it, by the way. If you don't know what the difference is, please take a look. Because I can tell you right now, for any organization or any member of an organization that's watching this, that you'll take a full understanding of what that really is. What it really means to be a part of an organization that's built on brotherhood and service and culture, and being a part of uplift. Uplift. What does it really mean to uplift? I mean, for those who do haze, you got to think about it. One day you're in church, praising God, getting on your knees to thank God for everything he's given you. Go out in the community and serve and give out turkeys and help the elderly and pick up trash on the side of a highway. And then go into a warehouse, put on a boxing glove, and smash it inside the chest of a young man, or slap or beaten someone with a cane. causing internal bleeding, or give enormous amounts of alcohol to a young kid until he dies. That's a walking contradiction. And if that's you, you've got greater problems than you ever know. I talked to someone who was a legacy member of Kappa Alpha Psi the other day, who told me that even in his son, or his grandson, I should say, he would also haze his own grandson, because his organization meant more to him than anything else. Do you understand how effed up that is? Your own family, who are legacy in organizations that have been around for a long time, since the early 1900s, when it was formed. They call them the Jewels, by the way, those founding members of the Divine Nine. Alpha Phi Alpha was found on Cornell University, right up here in DC. The Jewels, the founding members, it wasn't in their plan to look over 100 years later to know that young men like Caleb Wilson, young women like Kanitha Safir, would meet an end that would cost them their life. I'm speaking from the heart when I say we've got a problem. We have got to end it. I'm doing what I can. I'm just one person. I need your help. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Help join the fight. If you want to be a part of this movement, email me at culturedunplugged. If you want to be anonymous and tell me your story, I'll do that too. If you know someone who's been affected by hazing, you need to have them call their local school, institution. They can do it anonymously. You don't have to. When I did it and I went through what I went through the school counselor at the time. Things are changing, and there'll be new ways to do this and do this right. Once perceptions change, eventually, there'll be a new way forward. So I hope that this message comes at a place of peace and light to you. I know I've said a lot, and I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I'm going to ask that you do your due diligence, do your research, stick with me for more stories as we address these unfortunate cases of hazing. Know that it comes from a place of true light and love for parents like yourself who are watching, for the young person that's also thinking about joining an organization that they care about. Know that Uncle Chris has got your back. I'll take the brunt of every single backlash possible if it meant saving a life. That's the greatest gift I can give you. Not everyone's going to be on our side, and that's okay. I get comments from people who disagree with me all day long because they don't think that lives matter. They don't also think their own lives matter, but that's another story. Take your time with this. This is a process. This is a journey. It's not something that's going to happen or change in a month, not even a year. We've got work to do. I'm expecting good things to come from you. And whenever that time comes, we'll celebrate the end of these vicious acts. I'll be there either in the physical or in the spiritual. Love and light to you, and let's get it unplugged. Good night.